guys did better.
Thanks.
So there was this football player a long time ago, and I know you guys don't play football. I love football. We're coming into football. But Jim Brown, greatest football player of all time.
Don't know who he is.
Some would say. Jim Brown. You probably know him as an actor. He was like always with Clint Eastwood. Dirty Dozen. Jim Brown in the Dirty Dozen.
Okay.
Greatest running back of all time, besides Barry Sanders. Anyway, we could talk about that all day. I got a quote, because we all need an edge. And I think we're all kind of coaches. And in this show of Talk to People, it's one thing I learned in football is that you must have respect. It is not so important that people like you, but it is an absolute must that you have their respect. When we talk about respect today, man, we got to throw the city some respect and the volunteers some respect who made happen Kids Space. Guys, you guys went to Kids Space this weekend. What did you think?
My kids actually got to see it early with SPS. They got to go hide some of the books that they were looking for the opening day for Kids Space Park.
Oh.
And so we got some pictures with them, and like they love the little ninja course where they're like running around the little thing and crawling through the hole in the little mound. Almost looks like a hobbit hole. I love it.
What about you, G?
I think if I was a little bit younger and I could actually play in it, it'd be a lot better. But just watching all the kids play in it was kind of cool. Just kind of brought me back to my childhood days.
And G, this summer, you and your love, you'll go there, you'll be able to walk the park. Maybe you could play some pickleball. There's big boy things to do.
Pickleball. I've never played pickleball.
Your date would love you playing pickleball with her.
Are you sure about that?
I am really sure. They would have fun. They'd be laughing.
I've never heard somebody say, hey, let's go play pickleball. I love you.
No, that's the kind of thing is you're going to go to the movie, but you pick her up a little bit late, but you have some pickleball in the back, and you go, hey, there's something, we're going to stop and just try to play this. This could be fun. Well, I got to go out and play some ping pong at our new Kids Space Park with Public Information Officer Marci Jarrett. Take a look.
Now I know why you picked this game, because you're really good at it.
No.
Yes, you are. All that spin. Did your brother teach you that?
My brother and I have had a few ping pong battles.
Yeah, I can tell.
You know my brother.
Did he analyze your swing?
My brother learned everything he knows from his little brother.
Seriously. He may have tried it out on you. That's how we learn.
That's right. That's right. Okay.
Because that's what we do.
Marci, first of all, thanks for coming to our community. It's always fun to have somebody with your spirit around us. But I've got a question. When I walked up, the first thing I wanted to do was complain that there wasn't enough concrete behind me. That's what I wanted to do. Why do people do that?
Well, it's human nature to want to make something better. But also sometimes, unfortunately, it's human nature to get into a negative mindset. That's that's giving in instead of looking at possibilities and being grateful.
That's so cool that you say that, because I truly believe that. I think positivity brings growth.
Well, and it's the law of attraction. Whatever you put out is what's going to come back to you. And so if you put out negative is what's going to come back to you. To people, to communities, because communities are organisms. People are organisms. Communities are organizations made up of organisms, which is people. And so human nature is to look at that negative. We have to retrain ourselves to look at the positive.
I need to invite you and meet my wife. You're going to love my wife.
I'm sure I will.
We went from people to organisms real quick. From communities. This is great. Okay. So, and then we start playing, and I'm like, I don't need the concrete behind me. Well, I kind of do, but I don't. Well, but it goes back to, my first inclination was to say, well, fix this. But I want to say, I'm at this park, and it's our $4 million park or so. How cool is this?
You said a key word. It is our park. Our park.
Yeah.
And it is, because the citizens voted, and that is so incredibly important when you're looking at economic development, and companies that want to come to a community, they come to communities that invest in themselves.
Okay.
Yes, that's huge. That is huge for Shawnee in so many, many ways that are not obvious to the everyday citizen. But it's obvious to those that deal with other communities on a regular basis and see the competition, and there is competition, between communities for sales tax, for residents, for businesses. So for communities to invest in themselves, like the water vote, oh, you're so good. All of that is so important, and that leaves a huge impression on outside entities, businesses, communities, and all of that.
People who we want to come here because they bring jobs, they bring more economy,
Exactly.
and they bring more people that we get to know.
And people generate sales tax. And that is what your city runs on. And I know that's hard to grasp as well. Cities do not get any property tax. They only get sales tax. As well as fees and things like that.
But unless the people agree, hey, we need to do this bond or we need to do this.
Right.
I mean, it's possible that we could use.
It's possible, but the citizens have to vote on that sort of thing.
Right.
But the everyday, what keeps your city running, keeps your trash picked up and your roads fixed and your water running is sales tax.
And that is general fund money normally that's been budgeted.
Absolutely. General fund.
And so let's talk a little bit, because you know a little bit about a lot in our city. And, oh, I lost my train of thought. Never
Sales
mind.
tax.
It's ping pong.
It's ping pong. We got to concentrate.
It's ping pong.
Because we don't
We're
want
at
to
the
look bad
park,
on film.
and we want you to come to the park because this is fun.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Now, Marci, we've
Love
run
it.
into each other once. We've run into each other twice, I think, in which we had any kind of verbal communication. Would that be right?
Sure.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Let's say a few times, because that's vague.
Vague is good. Vague is good.
But we come out to the park, we start playing ping pong, something we both knew we liked,
Yes. Yes.
and all of a sudden, it's like we're best friends.
Yes.
It's cool how if we just talk to one another,
Yes.
real information comes out. And I've already learned that businesses who are looking to bring their companies places, and we're talking huge businesses, billion-dollar businesses, choose places who invest in themselves. What a great investment this is. How much fun
This is
do
huge.
you think is potential for community members who decide to bring their families here? How much fun could this be?
Well,
Start talking about the park.
exactly, because you can rent, just this area for, say, your family reunion or a high school reunion or whatever that I just went through over the weekend. But you can have fun and set it just for yourself, or birthday party and the games just for you.
Wow.
Plus, you can come out and just bring your horseshoes and play whenever you want, or bring your ping pong stuff and play whenever you want.
And this didn't cost me anything. Nothing.
No,
It's because it's ours.
right, right. Yep. Well, and I'm going to go back to that hours.
Okay.
It's that it is our park. And because of that, everybody needs to take care of it.
Yeah.
It's not just on Parks and Rec to pick up the trash.
Yeah.
If you see trash, pick it up, for heaven's sakes. Sorry,
Right.
that's the Girl Scout in me. Leave a place better than you found it.
Yes.
But if you see it, pick it up. Don't wait for someone else to pick it up.
yeah.
And if you see somebody doing something to the equipment or something that they shouldn't be,
Yeah.
say something. The whole if you see something, say something.
Talk to them.
Yeah, I mean, it's your park. You want them trashing your stuff in your backyard?
No.
Okay, well then don't let them trash the park.
That makes sense.
Speak up, say something. Ah!
From a city standpoint, how proud are you guys about this park? Talk about the process, Marci, that it took as a city to actually end up with something like this. It's not an easy thing
Well,
to do.
it was what, 5 years ago, 2018, when the vote was? But they're planning on that in 2017.
Right.
And all this is, I've learned from the mayor and others who were here at that time. Because there was a parks plan, and citizens said, and they knew, we need to do something. But, you do have to plan that kind of, oh, what a great shot, look at that. You do have to plan that kind of massive expenditure.
I would have given you that point.
Yeah, well, you should, because it bounced back over, but it's
That's
okay.
right.
That's legal, and I know that's
So the
legal.
great shot, you were kind of self-bragging because it was the winner shot that was the great shot.
Yeah, that was your shot.
You didn't even have to
It was
touch
your
it.
spin. It was you and that darn spin, see?
So planning, since 2017, we're 2023, we have a grand opening just before the 4th of July, which is perfect because this park is perfect for the 4th of July. And
Gotcha.
that's 6 years. that it takes to come up with something like this.
Yeah, you know, people think, oh, things move so slow at the city. Well, they do, because there again, it's your tax dollars, and you want to do the right thing. And plan is not a 4-letter word. You want to have plans to do those right things.
Yeah, well, and
to
also,
make it what is needed. And it's
but also, it took a heck of a lot of community input over time. Community
Yes,
input takes
exactly.
time.
It does. It does take time. And then the sheer design of it, because there's a lot that's, you know, what you might think is not really the sexy stuff, which is drainage and the underground and all the stuff that you don't see when you're building something, and looking at the grading of the land, you know, all that kind of stuff, and the
Right.
plants and all that. So you gotta give that time, and that requires planning.
Okay.
I knew you would get me.
And you make a good point there, because we see this, and I say $4 million park, and that sounds like a lot of money, but we don't see a lot of where that cost actually is required,
Oh,
I believe. And you just touched on some things infrastructurally and all the different things that we have to maneuver as a city to produce something like this. So I'd like for you to qualify for me $4 million, because people can come here and they can, all of a sudden they hear that number, and we all live in different economies. We do not understand why something like this would cost $4 million. Can you explain that?
Well, I wish I could do the whole thing. I really need Seth from
I don't
engineering.
want step by step. I want just common
well,
you and me.
Things cost way more than you think they will. And I imagine, I'm just guessing, that possibly back in 2018 when they voted, you know, the cost, I mean, that's 5 years. Look at what things cost has gone up in 5 years. I mean,
yeah.
I would imagine, I don't know how much, but I would just imagine the design cost went up during that time. As, you know, with materials went up, everybody knows about that, and how much all that's gone up. But the engineering that goes into something like this, because there are requirements anytime you're dealing with children, you know, and equipment that comes in contact with children, all the health regulations, health and safety that has to be taken into consideration when
Sure.
you're looking at the equipment, when you're looking at the land that it sits on. Look at you. Oh, got him. No, I didn't. It went off.
I'm pretty good.
Yeah, oh no, he's real good. Don't even. I got so suckered into this, let me tell you. Next time I'm picking the game. And
Is that a promise? Will you pick the next game? Because I kind of like this. Can
I
we
will.
do games the next time we talk too?
I will, sure.
Okay.
I will. Do you play horseshoes?
No.
Oh, well, then we're playing.
Okay. I'm going to do that, but I want to do this though. I want to ask you.
Well, I want to touch on the equipment really quickly. And as you look around, there are new regulations that were not in place, I imagine, 5 years ago.
Right.
But there are a lot of regulations that make equipment ADA accessible or some ADA compliant, and that's different terms.
Right.
But that puts extra expense into the building and the process.
Okay.
But you want that so that the park is for all.
Right.
Very
Sure.
important to have that, but that is added extra expense, extra planning to see where that can be fit into the process.
That moms and dads don't,
Yeah.
just grandpas, grandmas, a lot of times we just don't realize, okay, it looks like we should be able to buy that for this much. But in reality, when you're doing something at this scale as a public entity or within a city, it costs a lot more than what
Well,
you might
and when
think.
you go buy a swing set
Yeah.
for your kid, for your backyard,
Uh-huh.
okay, how long do you expect that to last?
5 years.
Yeah. How long do you expect this to last?
50.
So do you think it's built by the same material?
No.
No. No way.
I said 50. But really, I mean, if
Well,
we get 15 or 20 out of
20.
it. Yeah.
But darn sure not the 5 that your swing set in the backyard is going to get.
That's correct.
So complete different material that's got to withstand. What did we have the other night? Winds of what? 65, 70?
Well, not too long ago, we had winds of 175.
Yep. But just the other night, we had, you know, that kind of weather. And then you're talking snow and hail. I mean, this is out 24/7, 365.
Yeah.
So it's got to withstand all of that. So the materials have to be of a level
Yes.
that's beyond our comprehension. And then the aggregate material that the equipment is built of, so it doesn't get too hot. You know, you and I barely survived the slides and all that of the metal, and you remember your skin
Oh,
like
very
being
much, yeah.
left on the slide and all that. Oh, I got him. This is hard to do. Yes! Woo!
You know what, Marcy? It's great to get to know you.
Well, thank you. You too.
And the whole thing about
You
this
too.
is that getting to know new people brings new information. And having somebody like you in our town now gives us so much closer of an access to information that's truth about our city.
I hope so. We don't. Some people, they want to believe what they want to believe, and I respect that.
Sure.
I'm just going to tell the truth. I mean, it is what it is. I'm going to share that information, and I'm glad to bring back information, gather it, and bring it back. But I want people to understand really the way it is.
Right.
You know, I think that's good. We want to be transparent and we want to be accurate.
Yeah.
And timely. I try to be timely too. I just think that's real important.
Well, and when we meet one another and we talk to one another, there's a trust that begins to grow. We trust people that we talk to on a regular basis. And that's what we want to encourage everybody is we want to trust our elected officials. We want to trust our city government because really they're a lot like you and I, and you're just doing the best you can at your job, which is to serve us.
Yeah, I'm just trying to give you good information, and you're welcome to call me anytime and ask me anything you might have heard about, or is it true that fill in the blank,
Right.
and I'll be glad to find out, see what it is, what's causing that, or maybe where that started. I might learn something too, you know?
Yes. Like I learned today that Marci wants to beat me up in horseshoes.
We'll start with horseshoes.
All right. My new friend.
Cornhole, and then pickleball, and then I'll get you on the tennis
All of
court.
those that I can't do. Marci Jarrett, our new friend, Public Information Officer for the City of Shawnee. Thanks a lot. Out at the new park. Go to the park.
Thank you,
Go to the
Dad.
park
Come on
now.
out. Come on out.
It's your $4 million park.
Use it, please. It's beautiful, and you should be oh so proud of it. Oh, so proud. It's spectacular. You're one of those.
No, I'm really not.
Gotcha.
Get that. I want you to ask your husband to come out, and then you and Kerri can play me and him.
You too with your spin. Oh, that's so irritating.
That girl's feisty. I mean, she wanted to beat my ass at ping pong.
Bleep. Yeah.
I can say ass. Ass is a donkey. I saw pictures of donkeys. There was a sunset the other night. My friend posted. It had 2 asses up there. Or do I have to call them jackasses? No. We're on a podcast. I can say ass, right?
Oh, totally. I was just making fun of you when you. I was just
Yeah, it's
bleeping
kind
you.
of funny.
She wanted to beat my ass in some
yeah.
ping pong.
She totally realized though that she wasn't going to, and she wanted to flip to something else though.
Well, she almost did. I mean, when we played, we were at 6-all or something. She's pretty good.
She was pretty good, but that spin that you had.
I'm going to practice. I mean, we were talking about asses. I'm going to practice some horseshoes. Marci, you look out. It may not be my game. Okay, but let's now concentrate on what she actually said, because she said some pretty cool stuff. One thing she said was, hey, when you're there and if you see trash, pick it up.
I mean, I love that because that's kind of how I've always been. I've never been a Girl Scout, but I definitely have.
You weren't a Girl Scout?
I was definitely not a Girl Scout or a Boy Scout.
It's funny because I have a quote from Bruce Jenner in here. We could have those kind of conversations.
That's totally different. Anyways, I like the fact that she's talking about leaving a place better than you found it, because I feel like it's always kind of, you talked about respect at the beginning of the podcast, and respect means when we see something, okay, I could pick up that trash. I don't have to be scared of the trash over there because I want this place to look nice for my kids.
Or Gavin's date.
Or Gavin's date when they're playing pickleball. That probably won't happen.
Bring a skateboard.
He could play pickleball, probably not the girl. But,
Bring a skateboard.
Wow. Kind of hurt.
but I mean, the respect,
Take a Hardesty steak out there or something. That would be good.
they had some grills out there.
Date them for dinner. Do a dinner date. Just don't tell them where you're taking them.
Take them to the park. You got little kids running around taking my steak. Golly.
Man, if I was younger, maybe.
Okay, so back to it. $4 billion park. a great investment. I
Okay,
feel like.
and I walked with Marci after, just to get to know her a little bit more, and she picked up trash. She walked by, saw trash, picked it up, and I actually remembered what she had said, and I almost picked up the trash before she did, but I didn't want to bump heads.
Right.
That's what I'd say too.
It's what?
That's what I would say too.
That's good. Well, if you were on a date, I wouldn't want you to bump heads like that.
No,
But your
I
date
was
probably...
like acting about picking up trash, but I really didn't because someone else was going to do it.
No, I was with the person
Sure.
that was doing it a second before I started to do it, Gavin. Gee.
Right.
Hey, if you're out there, pick up the trash if you see some, okay?
Say it to the camera.
Hey, if
Yes,
you're
very-
out there, pick up some trash if you see it. Okay, good. She also said that, there's a lot of things that we have to consider when we're talking about the city spending money, and it's a $4 million park. And I'm thinking, man, $4 million, I could do a lot with $4 million. But what do you guys think about that? $4 million, you're there, you've seen the first week or so. What do you think?
Well, I felt like something she mentioned in the video was that you go buy a swing set at wherever, and that maybe lasts you 5 years. It starts rusting or the wood starts to deteriorate or something. But that ping pong table was a legit, like, I think like a giant boulder of a hailstone could fall on that thing and it would just
Yeah.
knock it off, and it wouldn't have any clue what had happened.
Well, and the way
was-
Marci
crazy.
was talking was that her husband would have put some spin on it, and then it would bounce back, and it'd be looking for the next person to hit the ball or something.
Playing ping pong with a hailstone?
Yeah,
Sounds like fun.
I mean-
Oklahoma style.
yeah, I believe it. I mean, the way she was going, but that's good. What about the inclination about when I walked up? It was real. I wanted to complain.
You did complain.
You totally started complaining.
Like, you didn't want to, you did.
Oh, that's great, because I did it with you two, right? I mean, I
Yeah.
did it with my friends, and immediately, that's what I did.
Absolutely.
Why do we do that? I mean, that is so natural. I loved her explanation of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to be negative. It should be easy to find the good in the fact that it was there.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, when you showed me, I thought about it too, and I was like, that does suck. Why is it not there? Where's the extra cement?
Oh, man. Okay. Well, we're all just people, so we get to talk to one another. And we have some really cool people, I think, coming up. Because, in our last vote, there was discussions, and legitimate discussions and concerns that people lose their voice and they don't have a voice. Well, the guests that we get to bring on now, Sherry Langford and Vicki Winters, are public volunteers, just like our commissioners, just like our mayor. They're public volunteers that are serving alongside the city staff, trying to make it better for everyone. And I get to welcome Sherry Langford and Vicki Winters. Ladies, thank you so much for coming on.
Hey.
Hello.
What a pleasure it is to have you with us. And now tell us what your background is with the city. And I'm going to start with you, Sherry. How did you get involved?
So many years ago, I was part of the beautification committee. Not too long ago, it's probably been a little over a year ago, the beautification committee and the Parks and Recreation committee was joined together. And so I think that was a good move. Because it is an important thing, all three of those things for the city of Shawnee for the quality of life.
For sure. And what about you, Vicki? How did you become involved?
Well, I graduated from Shawnee and I lived here for many years. And then I moved away. And then about 8 years ago, my husband retired and we moved back. And I was looking for something to do. And I saw where the city was needing volunteers. And so I saw where the Parks and Recreation Board, and I thought that sounded real interesting. And it really has been. And I really like it.
Well, so
And I think
often,
everybody ought to do that.
yeah, and so often we hear that public participation with the government doesn't exist very well. But I'm one that think that the the government that's our local government, the commissioners, the staff, everybody seems to listen when I talk to them. Do you guys get that feel as being volunteers with them? Vicki, we'll start with you. Did you think that you were able to have an impact on the outcome of Kids Space Park with your service as a volunteer?
Well, at first I didn't, and then as all the meetings went about, and then I became it was more interesting and more involved, and then I'd hear people our family or friends talking about Kid Space, and then I talked around my neighborhood, and it really became like I was part of it right there.
What about you, Sherry?
Well, being part of the committee, that was one of the things that we wanted to focus on first was the reopening of Kid Space. And we could only have 3 on the committee, so we could correspond between each other more than what the whole committee could. So I volunteered for that. And we sat down with Kerri and started talking about what was going to happen, it was like, okay, what about this and what about that? And so with the help of Ian and Vicki and sometimes Kerri and Amy, I think we put on a great party for the reopening of Kid Space.
Oh,
I do too. I've heard nothing but wonderful things from everybody that attended, and it was packed. I mean, you have to be happy with the turnout.
Yes. Saturday or Friday especially, it was cooler after the rain. And I know I heard people that drove by early in the day before the rain came that said it was packed because they took the construction fences down all day Thursday. And so the park was really open first thing Friday morning. And then afterwards, my husband and I drove up about 5 o'clock for the ribbon cutting at 6. And we just kind of both looked at the park, and it was just crawling with children and parents. And I didn't know there were that many children in Shawnee at that age.
I didn't either. It was amazing, just absolutely amazing.
Hey, Vicki, so far in your experience as a volunteer for the city on the Parks Committee, what has been something that has delighted you the most about your committee or about the service or about something that you've been involved with or experienced as a member of the committee?
I really like the interaction of everybody. I mean, and everybody listens to what you have to say, and you listen to. I mean, everybody has an idea or what, and I like that everybody's involved, and everybody was really involved in this Kid Space, and it's just I just really like it.
That's awesome. And I'm wondering if I'm just a regular citizen and maybe I'm not a part of the committee. Are you open to hear what I have to say? And can you help me and my voice or my desires be heard at a level at which at least they would be considered and maybe make an impact to the outcome?
Oh, yes. I think if anybody came to me and asked something, I would listen to them. And if I don't have the answer, I know the whole board together with Kerri too, and we could come up with an answer or come up with some kind of help. Yes.
Hey, Sherry, what excites you the most as you've served on the committee quite some time now for the future of our recreation and parks, or either one of the aspects of those? What excites you the most for the future and what's coming in the future?
I would say just being involved in it. Being on this committee has allowed us to be involved in the opening of Kid Space. We will be involved in the opening of Woodland Park when it comes to about, and just being involved in the parks and recreation and helping make great decisions on different things that come about. And we also, during our committee meetings, we have participants in the audience that come up and can speak for 3 minutes at a time. So anybody can come to the meetings.
I did not know that. How would somebody find out about when your meetings are and when they would be able to speak or maybe give their 2 cents on parks?
I believe the meetings are listed on the city city's website.
Mhm.
All of, for the city commission, for all the committees. I believe all of those are listed on the city's website, the
Hey,
day and the
Vicky.
time.
Okay, thank you, Vicky. Now it's Vicky Winters. Now, when you graduated from Shawnee High School, what was your name?
Day, Vicky
How-
Day, DAY.
oh, really? So are you Alan's sister?
Alan is my cousin.
How wonderful. Alan
Yeah.
and Alice were our neighbors.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
For years and years. Their kids kind of grew up alongside of our kids a little bit.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I
actually, he's actually my second cousin. His dad is my cousin. Yeah.
well, he was quite the photographer back in the day.
I know he was, and he was good at it too.
That's right. Sherry, you and I, we go way back. I've known you for a long time. I've admired you from afar with the work that in the service that you've always given. But Vicky, I don't think that you and I have ever met, have we?
No, uh-uh. I
And
think I've seen you at church. Do you go to Life Church?
I do. I'll visit there every now and again. And
Uh-huh.
most of my dear friends do attend over at Life Church. So maybe we've seen each other there.
Yeah.
But my point being is that, sometimes it's easy to talk with people that we know. Like it was easy for me to reach out to Sherry and say, hey, could you be a part of this? But oftentimes we feel awkward talking to people that we don't know or getting involved in things that maybe we're a little bit insecure with. But
Mhm.
Vicky, I mean, just being able to meet you here, I get a lot of great information with you, even though this is the first time we ever met. It's kind of getting over that awkwardness, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it is. And I've got
It,
to say one thing about being on this committee. I had to go around to different places of business and get some donations. And had I not done that, I wouldn't have got to know some of the people in this business, in their, certain businesses I went to. And that was really a good point for me.
so to say what I just understood, I think, is that you said you had to reach out to people that you didn't know, and you found that to be a good thing for you.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Uh-huh.
I believe that. Sherry, in your years, I really believe that by talking to people, you get so much more of the real information when you're talking eye to eye or on a phone, when you pick it up and talk about stuff. You've always
Mhm.
been kind of an example with that. You've been out with the Chamber of Commerce over the years with your work over at the News Star, and now I
Mhm.
guess you recently retired from Edward Jones.
I did, yes, last July.
So you've
Yeah.
never been bashful. Do you think that that's helped you to stay the course of positive growth in our community because you were
Oh,
willing to talk to people?
oh, absolutely, absolutely. When I started at the Shawnee News Star in 1977, I was on the display advertising staff, and so it started back then. So I was going out to businesses like Vicky did and convincing them that advertising in the Shawnee News Star was a good thing. And so that was how I made my living, was selling advertising to the businesses in Shawnee. And so yes, you met them for the first time, but then I many of them are still open and they still know me and they still speak to me and they know that many years ago I sold them advertising.
But I think what happened was you and them connected, on a life level, and now you're
Hmm.
still friends because that's what it's all
Yes,
about.
it is. It is. Yes, it is.
Well, I personally want to thank both of you, and now for Kids Space. But I don't want to let you go before I ask about another huge thing. We just opened a $4 million park or playground, actually the fifth largest playground in the state, but we're going to call it a park. And Woodland Park is, you guys are in the middle of that opening that's expected in the fall. Are you excited about that? And I'm going to start with Mrs. Winters.
Oh, I'm real excited. I know how much everybody's come together on Kid Space, but Woodland Park is really going to be awesome. It's going to have musical entertainment and all kind. It's just going to be awesome for the city of Shawnee.
What about you, Sherry?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I know at our last meeting, they thought maybe that they wanted a different committee. But you know what? I think our committee did so fabulous for Kid Space. They might want to put us back in charge of opening for Woodland Park.
Jerry, don't
No,
you
that's
want
good. That's
to
good,
share
Vicky.
the fun?
That's good, Vicky. Once a salesman, always a salesman. Look at that, putting
That's
her best
right.
foot forward. Ladies, thank you very much. It's a pleasure always to see you, Sherry, and it was great to meet
Absolutely,
you,
Daniel.
Vicky. Thank you both,
Thank
and
you,
we'll see you
Daniel.
again soon, hopefully at Woodland Park.
That's
Yes.
right.
Yes.
That's right.
Great day.
All right.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Daniel.
Bye.
Dudes, it's always awkward meeting somebody new. Vicky came on. I didn't know how she was going to sound. I didn't know what she was going to look like. I didn't know what she was going to say. It's always awkward.
Then you end up bonding with her about being neighbors with her husband or whatever.
Her second cousin, Alan.
Second cousin Allie.
Yeah.
All right.
In fact, 30 years ago when we began this business, Alan was alongside of me at weddings and at different events, ceremony stuff. He always had his camera, and we really struck up a relationship. He was a respected businessman in our community down with Shawnee photography, and that made me feel better as a young man. He was like an older somebody who was doing what he was doing, similar to what I was doing, and then I became his neighbor later. I didn't even know that happened, had the house, everything, moved in, and then it's like, oh, you live back here.
You definitely get a good grandma vibe from both of them. Like, you could go up to them and be like, those cookies are awesome.
Are you stereotyping grandmas right now?
I'm totally, yeah.
Well, and ladies, I'm a grandpa, so, oh well. That's the age we're at. But the thing that they said that I think is so important is they said that they felt heard. They felt like they influenced the outcome of a $4 million park.
Yeah, and they were ready to go on to, what's the next park that's
It's Woodland.
Woodland?
And I think it's a $6 million park. I think,
they
don't
were
quote
ready
me.
to roll into that one too.
Hey, do I get an 80% card? I can just hold up my 80% card. Could you guys get one of those for me? Because, look, let's just be straight. When we're doing stuff like this, I'm 80%. I mean, I'm pretty good, but I'm 80%. I give myself a 20% window. I could be off. So I say I think it's a $6 million park for Woodland. Well, that means 20% of 60 would be 7.2 million, or it would be 4.8 million. And I get that window because that's just how I roll. Because I want to talk to you guys.
Do I need to do a little 80% ding on the top?
No,
right?
I just want an 80% card because I hear it a lot of times, and I want to be able to I want to be able to hold. I'll just hold up an 80%, and all of our insiders will know what that means.
You're an insider now. You see that?
Isn't that what we all strive to be? It's those insiders that are doing all the bad things. Don't we want to be?
You're doing the bad things?
Well, like Clint Eastwood, he comes into town and you think he's really doing bad things, but he's doing good things. Like, I mean, he's got that schmuck.
Is that the Chuck Norris guy? Just a different guy.
That's totally different guy.
Totally different guy.
Totally
Alright,
different guy. You don't know Clint Eastwood? Hey,
Is it the good, the bad, and the ugly?
yes.
Good? Yes.
That's right.
All
See, we just did the dirty. We got the dirty
Dirty
dozen. We got the dirty dozen and the good, the bad, and the ugly in the same show. That's talent for show number 3 or 2 or wherever.
Wherever we're at.
Forever. And you're right, Jay. Dirty Harry.
Dirty Harry was a good one.
Yeah.
But rolling back to where we were at.
Yes, is we a lot of times want to think there's these insiders that are making insider deals. And I want everybody to be the insiders. That's all of us. Because really, that's the way it is. And I think that's what those ladies said, is that, no, you can have an impact, and we want to hear from you. And we just were able to volunteer our time. And they actually were on the inside for the building of a $4 million park. That's really kind of cool. I mean, one of my goals is, okay, I want to be on the inside of building a $4 million building. That'd be cool, right? That helps people.
And they're volunteers. It's not like they get their name on something. They're doing it because they want to do it. That's your neighbors.
Yeah, and they seemed really happy at the end. And, I'm happy because now we get to invite into the studio with us a sweet lady who has been in our community now for a while. I believe she graduated from OBU. I might be wrong on that, but she came soon after college and early in her career, and I was fortunate to get to know her back then. We don't stay in communication much, so every time that Kerri Foster and I get to talk to one another, it's a new and an awkward moment, but we're going to go for it. Kerri Foster is the director of our Parks and Recreation Department. Kerri, thank you for being with us.
You bet, Daniel. Thanks for having me.
There is so much that has transpired over the last few years that you've been a part of the Recreation Department, Kerri. Can you just kind of walk us through some of the great things that have been happening over the last few years?
Sure. So my time with the city was when Splash was created back in 2015, and I can't even believe we are actually in our 9th summer season, if you can believe that, Daniel.
No, I cannot.
It's I've said that to people and they're like, what? So yes, we've been here for a minute, and boy, things really have changed. And from Splash's success was born a recreation department. And then from there, we last fall, we are now the Parks and Recreation Department together. And so with that, we've got facilities and parks and splash pads and everything to participate in this summer. So we're excited about all the new things.
Well, we're going to get to a lot of those things that we can do, but how impressed are you with the new park? You were there from the initial phases of the dream to the plan to all of it to where we are today. How satisfied as the director of recreation in our community are you with the completion of Kids Space Park?
Wow, I'm ecstatic. I mean, as all the kids that I've talked to this weekend, I feel just like a 5-year-old again when I go to the park. And I'm just so excited for that same momentum for Woodland. Let's keep having fun, from Splash to Kids Space to our park, hopefully this fall. I'm also blessed. We are so blessed as a community for all the people that came together, being that I've been around for a while, knowing how people have came and gone through city administration, city staff, and how we've still kind of kept the foundation in the building of recreation in our community and ways that we're fostering relationship building. And so totally excited. Totally.
You know, I am too. I saw Ed do his pictures and his flyovers, and as it came to life, it really stirred something, a youth in me again. And after my visit to the park, I had so much fun out there with Marci playing ping pong and walking the trail, and it's a great conversational piece. And to know, now, Kerri, I can actually own sections of that park for like my kids' parties, or if I want to do a business something out there. I mean, there's a lot of spaces out there that I actually can. Now I can invite people. I have a pavilion, and we own the Horseshoe place. And you even can give me equipment for that, right? Talk a little bit about some of those things.
Absolutely. So some of that's still very new, and it's kind of flowing together as we learn what everyone really enjoys to use and how they like to enjoy it and when they like to enjoy it. And we actually have 6 areas that are rentable to permit your space, your pavilion, your table, your pickleball court, the challenge. If you want to bring a group and you want to challenge your friends, you can dedicate that space to you. There's fees involved with that. They range anywhere from $25, $30 all the way up to over $100. So it just depends on what amenity that you're looking for and what space you want. I will say our department has done a great job of still allowing several of the shaded areas and little picnic areas that are still first come, first serve. So even if you do not want to do that, there's still options available that are free and that are there available, of course, first come, first serve. So there's literally an option for everyone how you'd like to use kids space. So.
Yeah, that really excites me, Kerri. I didn't realize that until after we got to spend some time with Marci, that I actually can rent the pickleball courts, and, you know, within my company, I can have a pickleball tournament or something, you know, on a fun Saturday or maybe even a work day when it's less busy. But, you know, kids space, is a wonderful space. But you have so much more to offer as a recreation department besides those highlight things, like even the new Woodland Park and Splash. We see those on a daily basis while we're out driving around. Tell us about some of the programming that community citizens can enjoy through the recreation department after the 4th of July and for the rest of the summer.
Sure. So we average one movie in the park throughout the summer and through the fall. We've partnered with the Pioneer Library System, and so be keeping out a look for keep an eye out for all the different ones. We've had Space Jam, Teen Beach movies. Some of them are at Splash. Some of them are in one of our parks around town. We try to showcase a different park, different neighborhood for different kids to come and participate. We've got yoga, we've got pound, we've got tons of fitness classes in our rec centers. We have crochet, we have pool. A lot of those activities that are 55 and older in our department are all free. They're either provided by a grant or city funds those activities. So if you're over 55, there is literally something to do for you. Starting at 8 a.m. And even before then, we have a walking group that meets in the mornings, the first Saturday of every month, all the way through into the evenings with pickleball and rentals, and we do just about everything.
And so really we just need to connect with you in order to do that. But you mentioned something. I didn't know we had a rec center. What's the rec center?
Yeah, so depending on who you are and what stage of life you've been here in Shawnee, you could call it the Municipal Auditorium, you could call it the Senior Center, or you could call it the Rec Center. And so we go by all of the names, but as our department has grown, the Rec Center has turned into the hub for lake permits, camping permits, any questions about anything going on at the two lakes, our parks. Splash this year was the first year that we sold season passes at the rec center because of the construction and everything, and that ended up being such a blessing for our families. And so we're very fortunate to have this. So yes, depending on how long you've been in town and what the building was called when you connected with it, that's what it's called. But currently it's our Parks and Rec hub for all things.
Well, just to enlighten you a little bit, I'm not confessing that I've been in town this long, but it has been also a high school gymnasium. It has been
That's right.
the junior high gymnasium, the middle school gymnasium. You know, I had one of my finest hours on the basketball court in that gymnasium playing for the Shawnee Cubs. In fact, I think that's the first time I really recognized my wife. You know, and now I can say, hey, baby, we got introduced at the rec center.
Yeah, there you go.
But I do have a question about that. So I'm not 55, I am, but let's say I'm not. And I want to play some basketball in a gymnasium. Are you telling me now the old municipal auditorium, I can go and play there pickleball or the different things that are available?
So it's from 8 to 5, the rec center is almost 100% senior-led activities. So if you come between 8 and 5, our focus is 100% on seniors. Okay. When we start introducing, there are some pickleball play times that are for all ages that are on Wednesday and Friday afternoons. But mostly after 5 o'clock, we have dedicated registered programs that are for all ages. But for most part, we want to continue to provide senior services from 8 to 5 in the facility.
Okay, great. And so let's just say I'm a young mother and I've got a few kids and I'm always looking for interesting things to do. And I run into Kerri Foster on the street and I say, hey, Kerri, can you give me some ideas on what I might be able to do with my kids for low cost? And I really am looking for things to be able to do with them.
Absolutely. Well, we have 36 parks in Shawnee. So I always encourage all of my new families to say, go to our website, check out that list, and make it a fun thing of every weekend, go try a new park. There's 52 weeks in a year, and you're going to almost have a new park every single week throughout the whole year. And then, hey, go back and hit up some of your favorites for those last few stops. we have lots of space to go and play. We also have our community center on 804 South Park that we do a lot of our kids events at. We do a lot of fall break, spring break, Christmas break camps for kids. We want to try to support our moms and dads who work, and the kids are on a break for them, but mom and dad still have to work. We like to have some fun, so we'll have camps. A lot of times those are down at the community center. There's a huge park down there as well with basketball and pickleball courts. And then obviously my favorite is Splash. So in the summer, come cool off, come enjoy Splash. We have construction right now, but we have paved a way in the back, and we're having a good time back there. So, and then obviously Kid Space. So.
Yeah, a lot of fun parks, a lot of things. So I shouldn't be hesitant. Maybe I'm bashful a little bit. I shouldn't be hesitant to come and ask questions at the rec center, even though I'm not 55.
Absolutely not. Once the pool is open, we have people in our swimsuits every day walking through, and with families and kids. And so, no, we want to welcome all citizens to come in, pick up a rec guide. We do a spring, summer, and a fall, winter rec guide that has all of our activities coming up. And so in August, when you're starting to do tax-free weekend, we will be having the fall winter guide come out, and you can actually come pick up a paper copy, or you can come by and request us to email that to you. We will also post that on our website. And so that has all of our fall fun activities that'll be coming up.
And so when I go to shawneeok.org, I would believe that would be your website. Is that where you're suggesting that I go and then look for recreation?
Yes. And so if you go to shawneeok.org, on the home screen, there's going to be Parks and Recreation. Just tap on that, and then you'll find lakes, rec center, parks, everything that we offer.
That is totally cool, Kerri. And I found a lot of information. I want to thank you for that, because it was colorful, easy to read, and I had a lot to choose from. And I really appreciated that I stumbled upon it right from their website.
Right.
Now, also, though, I know you guys are very heavily involved in social media, and do you have, different pages or something that I might just kind of maybe follow or like?
Absolutely, we do. Our main one, of course, is Shawnee Parks and Recreation.
Okay.
They have several groups attached to that. So Shawnee Parks and Recreation, if you are a senior 55 or over, we have Shawnee Seniors Programs and Events group, and that is very active as well. That has senior-specific activities and programs that we have coming up. We have Shawnee OK Pickleball, and that is all things pickleball. Now I can say outside too. Finally, I waited years to be able to say we can play pickleball outside. So we will have all the updates there on incoming tournaments and prices and things that we have going on. We also have the Shawnee Splash Facebook page, and that is all things Splash specific. And so those are our main items that we do on social media. I will say Shawnee Parks and Recreation also has Instagram.
Fantastic. And we talked to some special people just a few moments ago, Sherry Langford and friends, and they are volunteers that have, I know, put in many, many hours, just like the commissioners do. Probably not as much as the commissioners, but they help to build Kids Space, and I know they're right integral in what's going to happen with Woodland coming out in October. How important are citizen participation for you and for your department, Kerri?
Oh, critical. First of all, just support. They help drive what the community wants. And so I just want to say, just publicly, a huge thank you to our Parks and Recreation Board. They have been an essential fabric to what Kids Space is today. And our department couldn't function without them. So,
well, and I think...
great.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. And I was like, if anybody else wants to be involved in that, I know that they're always looking for suggestions and helpers to help us just go arm in arm and serve our community.
That's so funny, because that's why I interrupted you, is because I wanted to encourage everybody. I wanted to say, hey, you might have certain hours at home and you're like, what could I do? I'd like to plug in somewhere. Or, Parks and Recreation really sounds like a fun place to be able to serve some hours, meet wonderful people, and have a lot of fun.
Absolutely. We also serve the Fairview Cemetery. So our department serves families as they've lost their loved ones, and we have volunteers that actually help during those things, all the way to when we have birthday parties at Splash. We have a youth program we kicked off this summer, Daniel, and it has just been one of the best things we've ever had experienced. It's just been great. We have a group of about 8 to 10 young youth that are volunteering at Splash. And so it's giving them some super great volunteer hours for their college scholarships. And then we also have our senior volunteers that take care of our operations here at the rec center on the daily. But there's literally something for everyone, from helping teach a crochet class to an art class to helping with pickleball. There's seriously something for everyone. So.
Oh, that stirs on the inside of me. Maybe later in the fall I can do a show with just volunteers who have completed some things with you guys, and they could talk about your experience. Would you mind keeping your eye out for maybe 5 or so that you think, hey, that would be really good storytellers that Daniel could talk to?
Sure, absolutely. May have to twist their arm just a little bit because most of our volunteers are very behind the scenes, but I'll see what I can do.
I'm sure you'll do just fine, because I know how hard I have to twist your arm ever to get you to come with us too, Kerri. You're the same type of personality. But we're good arm twisters.
It's factual.
Hey, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure. And I want to say what a great job you're doing over there. We've noticed the transition as a family, and things are really, really coming together for families in Shawnee with things to do recreationally. Thank you very much, Kerri, for your service.
Absolutely.
It's what you do. That's what you say. It's who you are.
No, I'm just happy to finally see some of it really moving forward. And when I started, I had 2 young girls, and I just remember always saying there's just not a whole lot for us to do. And I'm just so happy to see that that's not the case anymore. And my 2, they're middle school and high school now, and it brought me to tears to see them playing on that equipment this weekend, and just knowing how far we've came. And our community needs to take this turn, and from after the tornado and the destruction, sure, we're still trying to rebuild. I mean, we've got a whole park that's completely totaled, but we've got so much to look forward to, and this is just a piece of it. And so I just want to encourage everyone, and I'm just blessed to even be part of it. And the Lord's hand's on Shawnee.
Well, you are a great example of great things come from disaster with what was able to open with Kids Space Park under your direction as director of our recreation. Kerri Foster, thank you very much. We'll see you again soon, I hope.
Absolutely. Thanks, Daniel.
Man, you've got to respect somebody like that. I mean, Kerri, just a pure heart. Guys, what do you think about her?
I mean, I think I was with you a couple of times. We recorded her for the Splash when we first opened that. Mm-hmm. And I mean, she always seemed like she was super happy. She loved working with kids, and she even talked about she's starting to have a new set of kids that they're doing that's younger age, not high school age, mm-hmm. that's volunteering, which is pretty cool too.
Yeah, can you believe that the Splash opened in 2015? That's 8 years ago, Jay.
It doesn't seem like that long, but yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and I liked it that she said she got tears in her eyes when she watched her children playing.
Yeah, on the new Kids Space area.
Jay, that's exactly why, or G, that's exactly why you want to take your date there. Let her watch the kids.
To make her cry.
It's a great idea.
She'll feel, it's like a movie in itself, but you're not in a dark movie theater where you can't talk or, you know.
We're just watching random kids.
Yeah,
Sounds
with T-bone steaks on the grill from Hardesty's.
Playing pickleball.
You know, yeah. Playing pickleball, maybe go get a dessert afterwards at the Branding Iron. Something like that. Or, yeah, and you want to show up with the Sonic Cherry Limeade. So she's refreshed.
Seems like a sponsor ploy.
But yeah, that was totally a sponsor ploy. Kids Space Park is in the books. Kerri Foster sharing a lot of wonderful things. We recommend that you go to the city website, shawneeok.org. parksandrec.org and click on the recreation area to view a very nice pamphlet that gives you a schedule of the different things available over at the Parks and Rec department. G, you have no use for that right now, but J, you have a lot of use for things to do with kids. How do you like that little PDF statement that they have, so many pages of what's going on over there?
I mean, it's nice to actually have a list of what's going on so that I know, like, I think there was movies, there
Yep.
was swimming stuff, there's all the parks, I mean, having a list as a parent it makes it easy to plan.
It does.
And there's enough stuff that I could pick something out and go something every month for the whole year.
Yeah, or at least a weekend, for your family night or for whatever.
Yeah.
Well, we want to encourage you this weekend, get out and enjoy your park. This summer, get out and enjoy your park. The Splash is a class act for a swimming pool. You can go downtown and get refreshed. There is construction going on around, so go in through the rec center. And man, thank you again. It's an honor for us, a privilege for me to do what we do. And we thank you for staying with us because Shawnee, together, we build community, one season at a time. See you guys. Hey, bye. No, you guys have to say something.
See ya.